My husband walked into our apartment holding divorce papers in one hand and his new girlfriend's hand in the other, while I was setting the table for our anniversary dinner. I didn't say a word, I just stared at them, candles lit, food hot, playlist still looping our wedding song in the background, and there he was, with a woman I'd never seen before acting like I was the one interrupting them. He glanced around like he forgot what day it was. "Oh, wow," he muttered. "You did all this?" She looked uncomfortable, but not enough to let go of his hand. I looked down at the envelope he dropped on the table, legal-sized, thick, with my name printed at the top in bold. Petition for dissolution of marriage. No card, no explanation, just that. I turned the burner off behind me without saying anything. The sauce was about to boil over, like me. He cleared his throat. "I didn't expect you to go all out this year." "Clearly," I said. Then I looked at her. She had the decency to look embarrassed, but not enough to leave. "She doesn't know everything," he said quickly, like that made it better. "No," I corrected, "she doesn't know anything, like how we were still sleeping in the same bed 2 nights ago, or how you kissed me goodbye this morning, or how I made you lunch yesterday and tucked a note inside that said, 'Can't wait for tonight.'" She blinked. "You said you'd been separated." "Yeah," I said, smiling bitterly. "He says a lot of things." He reached for the papers. "Can we just talk like adults?" I laughed. I actually laughed. "You want to talk now? After you ambushed me on our anniversary with her?" "I didn't plan it like this." "Sure you did. You picked this day to file. You knew I'd be home. You knew what I was cooking. You just didn't care." He looked at me like I was being dramatic, like I was ruining his moment. So I pulled out the chair, the one with the card and the gift on it, and handed both to her. "Here," I said. "This was for him, but since you're here, you should read it." She hesitated. He reached to grab it, but I stepped back. "No, let her. Go ahead, sweetheart. Read it out loud." She opened the card, her face dropped halfway through. Inside, I'd written, 5 years, and I'd still choose you every time. Thank you for being my best friend." Her voice cracked when she reached the end. "I hope the next 5 are even better than the last." The silence after that was heavy. No one moved. Then I turned to him. "So how long?" He hesitated. "Of course." She looked at him. "Wait, how long have you been lying to me?" And suddenly, just like that, they were arguing. In my home, on my anniversary. I stepped away and grabbed my phone, dialed a number, put it on speaker. "Hi, this is Dana from Pacific Law. How can I help?" "Hey, Dana," I said sweetly. "Remember when I asked you to prepare those emergency divorce counters? I think I'll be needing them after all. Can you file first thing in the morning?" Dana didn't miss a beat. "Absolutely." He looked stunned. "You already filed for backup?" I cut in. "Yeah, because I stopped trusting you 6 months ago. I just needed the proof. And thanks to tonight, I had it." She looked like she wanted to disappear. Her hand slowly slipped out of his. He tried to grab it back, but she wasn't looking at him anymore. She was staring at me, and I didn't flinch. He finally spoke again, low and annoyed, like I was the problem. "You don't have to do this in front of her." "You brought her here," I snapped. "To our home, on our anniversary, while I was plating your dinner." He shifted like he wanted to find a better angle, a more convenient truth. "You knew things weren't working. Don't act like I blindsided you." I took a step closer. "You think texting less and having sex once a month counts as me knowing we were done?" "No. What you did, this, was planned, strategic, cowardly." She moved toward the door like she was about to bolt. "Stay," I said to her. She froze. "You need to hear this. You need to know who he really is. You need to know that I wiped this man's tears when he got laid off, that I put off grad school to help him recover, that I paid the damn rent for 3 months straight so he could find himself, that I held his hand when his father died and cleaned out the hospice room while he sobbed in the parking lot." He looked away. I wasn't done. "You need to know that I listened to his boring podcast ideas and proofread his crappy startup pitches and supported him through every mediocre decision he made, and now he thanks me by serving divorce papers like they're dessert." I turned to him, fire in my throat. "You could have said it any day, any time, but instead you waited until the moment you knew I'd be vulnerable, until I had candles lit and a meal on the table and a gift in your seat. You wanted the exit to be clean for you. You wanted to be the victim who had to get out. But guess what?" I leaned in. "I beat you to it." He stared at me speechless. She looked like she might cry. I didn't care. Not anymore. "I moved half the money last week," I continued. "The joint account? Yeah, the in case of emergency one. Already gone. I left enough so you wouldn't notice because I wanted to see how low you'd go. Turns out you'd bring her here, on this night." He finally found his voice again, angrier now. "That's theft. That's self-preservation," I said. "And trust me, it's legally clean." Dana made sure of that. You forgot I work in HR. I've read more contracts than you've read restaurant menus. She looked at him. Wait, and is that true? He didn't answer. Instead, he looked down at the table. The photos I'd hung were still swaying slightly in the breeze from the fan. The one of us on the Ferris wheel, at the beach, dancing at that wedding we crashed. All lies now. I pulled them down one by one and dropped them into the trash. You don't get a dramatic exit, I said calmly. You don't get to storm out. You don't get to act wounded. You lost that right when you printed legal paperwork instead of using your mouth like a grown man. He reached for the envelope again. I slammed my hand down on it before he could touch it. Nope, that stays here. For the lawyers, for the court, for the record. She finally spoke again, voice barely audible. I didn't know he was still with you. I nodded. I believe you. I'm not mad at you. And that was the truth. She was stupid, sure, but she didn't lie to me. He did, over and over, with intention, with cruelty. She walked out without another word. He stood there for a second longer, then followed her. Of course he did. The door clicked shut behind them, and the silence left in their wake was deafening. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I poured 2 glasses of wine, sat down at the table, took a bite of the food I'd made. It was perfect, tender, rich, deep flavor, the kind of dish you plan for someone you love. And in that moment, I realized something brutal and beautiful. I never should have made it for him. He never deserved it. The food, the night, me, and now he'll never get it again. I didn't eat much that night, just enough to feel human. Then I dumped the rest of the food in the trash, every perfect bite of it. He didn't deserve leftovers. He didn't deserve crumbs. I didn't sleep. Not because I was crying, not because I missed him. I couldn't sleep because my brain was sprinting through every moment of the past 6 months, piecing things together like broken glass on the floor. Every lie, every weird phone call, every canceled dinner plan, every don't wait up. Every time he turned his phone over when I walked into the room. And suddenly, it all clicked. I remembered the weekend he said he was visiting his cousin in San Diego. I remembered the flight email that popped up on our shared iPad. New York, not San Diego. I remembered asking him about it and him brushing it off with, "Oh, that was for work. It didn't happen." He was there. With her. That same weekend, I had texted him a picture of me in the dress I planned to wear on our anniversary. I was excited, naive. I asked him if he liked it. He responded 7 hours later with a thumbs up. A thumbs up. That was the moment I stopped being a person to him and became just a responsibility to be escaped. And now I was going to make sure he never forgot me. The next morning, I woke up early. I called Dana, my lawyer, and told her to move forward with the countersuit. Not just for divorce. I wanted a full audit of our joint accounts. I wanted to review every charge on the credit cards. I wanted every single transaction flagged for the last 6 months. Because if he was bold enough to serve me papers on our anniversary, I was bold enough to burn his exit strategy to the ground. Then I did what any wronged wife should do when her coward husband walks out with another woman while she's plating dinner. I got dressed and went to work like nothing happened. And let me tell you something. There's no power like walking into your office the morning after getting betrayed, holding your coffee like a weapon, looking your coworkers in the eye and saying, "I'm great, thanks, let's get started." I wasn't okay, not yet, but I was dangerous, and that was better. I sent the shared calendar a cancellation for our upcoming couples retreat. I deleted him off our Netflix account. I changed the Wi-Fi password. I paused all automatic payments for his car insurance. I was done sponsoring his comfort. He texted me that evening. "We should talk. I think last night got out of hand." I didn't respond. The next day, another message. She didn't know about the anniversary. I didn't plan it that way. Still nothing from me. Then came the email. Subject: Let's not make this messy. Messy? Oh, baby, you walked into our anniversary with a side piece and court paperwork. Messy was the starter course. I forwarded the email to Dana. She replied with one line. "He's already losing. Stay quiet. We'll win louder." And I did. Until his best friend called me. Now, let me tell you something about his best friend. He was always team him. Since college. The kind of guy who'd nod along while my husband made fun of me in group chats, then turn around and smile in my face at barbecues. So when I saw his name pop up on my phone, I almost didn't answer. But I'm glad I did, because the voice on the other end sounded nervous. "Hey, I think you should know something." He wasn't calling to apologize, he was calling to confess, because my husband had apparently told everyone that I knew about the divorce and that it was mutual. Yeah, according to him, I was on board and just waiting for the right time. Except, his friend started feeling weird about it when he saw the photos I posted online. Photos of the anniversary setup, the wine, the table, the card, the caption, "Celebrating 5 years tonight. Let's see if he remembers." And that's when his house of lies started collapsing. One by one, the people he'd manipulated started realizing he wasn't just moving on. He was lying, publicly, to everyone. His friend told me more. Apparently, my husband had been dating that woman for 4 months. She didn't know I was still in the picture. He said we were separated, living together just for lease reasons, that I was emotionally distant and had someone else. Funny, I spent every night rubbing his back while he complained about work. I made him breakfast every Saturday. I left little notes in his gym bag. I was there, present, loyal. He was just planning his escape, so I made a new plan of my own. Next up, a very public message. And I was going to use the one thing he never thought I'd touch, his career. And that's where things really started to unravel. And trust me, it gets worse. He worked in corporate sales for a luxury automotive brand, very image-conscious, very reputation-based. They prided themselves on their family values, the kind of company that posted Father's Day photos and holiday parties with perfect smiles and matching sweaters. And my husband? He was their golden boy, always dressed sharp, always shaking hands, always smiling for the quarterly leadership features on the website. But what they didn't know was that their family-first rising star had walked out on his own wife on their anniversary with another woman while handing her divorce papers like a restaurant bill. So I sent them an anonymous tip, not a messy email, not some furious rant. A clean professional summary, typed bullet points, linked screenshots. I attached pictures of the anniversary setup and a copy of the divorce petition with the timestamp. I added the details about how he misrepresented his marital status to coworkers and clients. Because yes, he'd been introducing her as his partner at networking events. His longtime girlfriend, he said. The one he'd built everything with. Funny how she looked nothing like the woman in his wedding photos. The ones still publicly visible on his old LinkedIn profile. The ones I didn't take down because I didn't have to. The next day, he called me. Twice. I didn't answer. Then he emailed me directly. No subject line. Just 3 words in the body. What did you do? I stared at it for a second, smiled, then hit delete. Because I didn't need to reply. I already knew what happened. Word travels fast in a company that thrives on image. A week later, his face disappeared from the website. 2 weeks after that, mutual friends started texting me things like, just heard what happened. Are you okay? He never deserved you anyway. You handled this like a legend. I wasn't replying to any of them. I was busy. I had started going back to the gym. I'd dyed my hair. I'd finally thrown away the robe he used to steal from my side of the closet. I made reservations at the same restaurant we used to go to every year on our anniversary, and I went alone. The waiter gave me a weird look when I ordered 2 glasses of wine. One's to celebrate, I said. The other's for closure. He laughed. I didn't, because I wasn't joking. I toasted myself, took a sip, then pulled out the envelope I'd saved, the one he brought home with her that night, and I ripped it in half, right there at the table, then into quarters, then again, until it was nothing but shredded lies and shredded paper sitting beside my filet mignon. He tried to text me again a few days later, said he wanted to meet up to talk. The word felt so small after everything he'd done, but I was curious. Not because I missed him, not because I wanted him back, but because I wanted to see how far he'd fallen. So I said yes. We met at a quiet cafe, the kind with overpriced pastries and soft music. I came in looking like a woman he wouldn't recognize. Hair pulled back, heels on, red lipstick I used to save for special occasions. I watched his jaw tighten when he saw me. He stood up like a man who didn't know whether to apologize or beg. He didn't do either. He said, "You look different." I smiled. "I'm not, you just never looked hard enough." He sighed. "I made a mistake." I didn't say anything. "She left," he added. A week after that night. Said she didn't sign up for all that. "Smart woman," I said, sipping my tea. "I didn't expect things to go this way," he murmured. "I thought maybe, I don't know, you'd understand." I set my cup down. "You walked into our home with another woman, on our anniversary, after I spent the day cooking your favorite meal. And you served me divorce papers." He winced. "You didn't want a partner," I continued. "You wanted an audience, someone to applaud your growth while you fed your ego with someone else's body. And when the applause stopped, you panicked." He looked at me, hollow. "Can't we at least talk? Figure something out?" I stood up, pulled a folded sheet of paper from my purse and placed it in front of him. It wasn't a love letter, not a second chance. It was my final settlement. Clean, complete, no negotiation. He scanned it, face pale. "This is..." "Everything," I said, "everything you walked away from." And I left him there, at the cafe. In the same seat I used to watch him dream from. Now just another man watching me walk away, wishing I'd turn around. But I didn't. I never do. Not anymore. Because I learned the hard way. Never spend hours cooking for a man who's planning your replacement. Let him eat the consequences. He never signed the settlement right away. Of course he didn't. Because men like him don't let go easily, not when they realize they've lost control, not when they start tasting the consequences of their own decisions. He dragged it out for 2 more weeks. Emails, clarifications, questions, little edits, passive-aggressive notes about how we could still be civil. Civil? After walking in with a woman and handing me divorce papers like I was a business transaction. After lying to our friends, to my family, to her, civil was off the table. But I didn't argue. I let my lawyer handle every message, and in the meantime, I lived. Not quietly, not hiding. Loudly. I unfollowed all the mutuals who thought silence made them neutral. I started taking boxing classes. I changed the living room completely. New paint, new rug, new couch. Everything that once held his shape was stripped out of my life like rot from a broken wall. I replaced it with strength. The day he finally signed the settlement, Dana sent me a text. "It's done. You're free." I stared at it for a long time. Not because I was emotional, because I'd forgotten what freedom felt like. And once it sunk in, I got up, grabbed my coat, and went to the one place I always went when I needed to clear my head. The park by our old apartment, the one we used to walk through every Sunday morning, coffee in hand, pretending we had our lives figured out. I sat on the same bench we used to share, the one where he kissed my forehead once and said, "I hope we're always like this." I laughed out loud. Not because it was funny, but because it was so ridiculous now. A lie so neat and easy that I actually believed it at the time. We're not always like this. We never were. I took out my phone and opened my notes app. Not to write a message, not to send a screenshot, just to write this. "You didn't ruin me. You revealed me." He peeled back a version of me that had settled. That thought loyalty meant tolerance. That believed sacrificing yourself for someone else was love. That being chosen was more important than choosing yourself. And now I choose me. Every time. That night, I lit one last candle. Not for him, not for the anniversary, for closure. I poured a glass of wine, sat on my new couch, played a song that used to make me cry, but this time I didn't feel anything. No tears, no nostalgia, just space. And I filled it with joy. A few months passed, and then, like clockwork, he tried again. A message at 11:47 p.m. on a random Thursday. "I miss you. Can we talk?" No punctuation, no apology, just a desperate hook thrown into water he thought I was still swimming in. I stared at it for a second, then blocked his number. Not out of anger, out of indifference. Because that's the real ending, isn't it? Not the screaming, not the courtroom, not the dramatic cafe confrontation. The real ending is when their name pops up, and you feel nothing. No rage, no ache, no interest, just freedom. He made his choice, and I made mine. I chose peace. I chose honesty. I chose the version of me who doesn't cook for ghosts. And I'll never set a table for someone like him again. The next time someone loves me, they'll knock first. They'll show up with honesty, not secrets. With presence, not paperwork. With commitment, not a backup plan. And I'll know the difference because I lived through the worst of it. Because I lit candles for a man who was already planning to leave. Because I smiled through a dinner meant for two while being replaced in real time. That version of me is gone. What's left is stronger, sharper, wiser. And if he ever tells the story, I hope he remembers. He didn't just lose a wife. He lost a woman who would have done anything for him, until he proved she shouldn't. And that's the kind of loss no one ever recovers from. Not really.